My belief is that Justin Bieber has been battling ghosts for a number of years. Those who haunt Selena. Every single breakup, every single song, and every single questionable post that has been made since 2018. It's almost as if he's been desperately trying to persuade himself that he's over her. However, the receipts indicate that this is not the case. We are delving into every desperate move that Justin has made over the years in order to move on from Selena. These moves range from emotional lyrics to decisions about relationships that were made at the last minute. But before we get into it, I want to make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any of the tea when it drops. Trust me, this one is messy. So let's get down to business, shall we? To tell you the truth, when Justin Baldwin began his relationship with Hailey Baldwin in 2018, just a few short months after his final breakup with Selena, we all thought, okay, that's it. I have never seen a more desperate move than that. I mean, the man didn't even give himself a moment to catch his breath before he ran down the aisle without stopping. However, as it turns out, that was not even close to being the whole story. The courthouse wedding, the public display of affection, and the Instagram posts about the love of my life were all indicators that Justin was merely attempting to persuade himself and possibly even Selena that he had moved on from the relationship. But the guy was still deeply involved in that old flame, even though he had moved on. In addition, that is precisely what we are going to dissect in this video. From unexpected proposals to song lyrics that raise eyebrows, emotional meltdowns, and even those peculiar social media moments that always seem to appear right around the time that Selena makes a significant move. Selena has all of these things. We are going through every last desperate thing that Justin has done in order to get away from the shadow of Selena Gomez. For the simple reason that, believe me, the story does not end with that wedding ring. From that point on, things are only going to get more complicated. Keep in mind that he and Selena had just finished their relationship for good in the beginning of 2018 after almost a decade of going through that on and off roller coaster. In addition, by September of that same year, he had already tied the knot. Nothing, not even a lengthy engagement or a period of profound healing. Nothing more than vibes and vows. A love story was what it appeared to be to the rest of the world. Nevertheless, for those who were paying close attention, it appeared to be a case of desperation dressed up in a tuxedo. You could tell by looking at his face when he was being interviewed. Whenever he spoke, he would frequently say things like, "God bless me with Hailey." The energy, on the other hand, screamed, "I'm trying so hard to convince myself that I'm okay." Poor Hailey, she ended up being the emotional first aid kit of the group, despite the fact that he never gave himself enough time to fix the broken pieces. She was picking them up. And to tell you the truth, we all thought to ourselves, wow, this marriage might have been the biggest move he's ever made, to finally move on from Selena. Nevertheless, that was only the beginning of things, due to the fact that what followed was not therapeutic. It was a full-blown emotional spiral that demonstrated that Justin was not finished by any means with his fight against his past. After the wedding, Glow began to lose its luster, let's be honest. It didn't last nearly as long as we had hoped. Things started to become more chaotic. I mean, it's really messy. The mental health of Justin, according to those who are close to him, took a significant hit just a few months after the wedding. It was not just the typical post-honeymoon blues that people experience. The energy was intense, dark, and I couldn't help but wonder what I had just done with my life. Even Hailey admitted that there were times when she was unsure whether or not he would have the ability to survive. Imagine you are just about to turn 21 years old and have recently tied the knot when all of a sudden you are required to act as a nurse, therapist, and emotional babysitter for someone who is obviously not over his past. In no way is that love. That is the mode of survival. And Justin, he admitted that he was guilty. It was in one of his interviews that he made the following statement: "I thought marriage was going to fix all of my problems, and it didn't." On the other hand, he did say the quiet part out loud. He wished for Hailey to fill the void that he was unable to fill for himself. There were times when you were able to see the empty space that Selena had left behind, fill that space. At the time, they were at Universal Studios or another location. The cameras were capturing Hailey's attempt to smile, hold his hand, and maintain a cute appearance. Additionally, Justin appeared to be emotionally spent. However, the man was not present at the time. It's almost as if his body has moved on, yet his heart hasn't really understood what's going on. When Hailey was out here, she was attempting to fulfill all of his needs. This is his rock, his comfort, and his safe place. He was still engaged in a battle with ghosts, and to tell you the truth, that was the moment when people began to realize that this marriage was not a fairy tale. It was two people attempting to mend the broken heart of a single individual. The most unfortunate aspect is that the more Justin tried to pretend that everything was fine, the more cracks began to appear in his facade. It was going to be excruciatingly obvious that this was not a couple that was healing together, was Justin's attempt to persuade the world that he was content, despite the fact that he appeared more than ever to be troubled by his history. Do you have any idea who that history always led back to? It's true, mainly due to the fact that fans began to notice something suspicious about Justin's music around this time. From that point on, lyrics began to fall like breadcrumbs. You would also be able to read between the lines if you were familiar with their history. Consider songs such as Ghost and the occasions when he sings about being haunted by someone he is unable to have. Fans promptly made the connection between it and Selena. An explosion of theories occurred on social media. He is still interested in her. His fixation on the past is unrelenting. As you continued to listen, it became increasingly apparent that each verse was him struggling to come to terms with what he had lost. But it wasn't just a few hints here and there. The interviews also revealed a great deal. There was a time when Justin discussed relationships in a manner that made it abundantly clear that he was proceeding to compare Hailey to another person. It was eerily specific to his history with Selena that he said things about heartbreak, mistakes, and regret. He said these things several times. Even appearances in public had their moments of high drama. When asked about moving forward, his expressions, the tiny winces and the half smiles, fans dissected every micro-expression as if it were a flashback to Selena. And let's be honest, this wasn't just about the interviews or the music I was performing. He was able to time his actions perfectly. It was almost as if he was responding to Selena's life from a distance by releasing the songs after significant stages in her life, such as the release of new projects or public appearances. It painted a picture of a man who claimed to have moved on from someone, but there was evidence that he was not truly over that person. The next layer is reached as a result of this, the desperate attempts that Justin made to rewrite his story in public, as well as the reasons why so many people believe that even his new life with Hailey was something that was a part of that. Justin's public displays of affection for Selena began at the very beginning of his marriage, and he never stopped trying to convince the world that he was over her. The constant physical contact, the gushing on social media, and the photos from vacation. It was more than just a crush. The followers observed a pattern. Selena's life updates seemed to be overshadowed by every significant gesture that she made. It was almost as if he was engaged in a competition with his own history, attempting to rewrite the story in front of everyone. Everything, even the smallest details,